Welcome, my dear students. Welcome back. Silk Road by Nick Middleton, Part 3. This is the 8th chapter of your prose book, and today I am going to continue the third part, that is, explanation of the remaining paragraphs. So you can see the word meanings already given: throb, ascent, festooned, and came of rocks. So let me start the explanation. The protagonist checked his watch again while he was climbing the mountain in the bright sunlight. They move up to 5,400 meters height, and his head began to pulsate again. He had a few sips of water from his bottle, which helped him to climb the slope. They reached at 5,515 meters, and a large pile of stone was decorated with white silk scarves and some dirty prayer flags. They took a turn round that stone in a clockwise direction, as in the tradition, and the driver checked the tires of his vehicle. He stopped at the petrol tank and unscrewed its top, which made a loud hiss noise as the pressure was making the fuel expand. The driver told him maybe it's dangerous, but told him not to smoke around there. Next paragraph. Word meanings are given: career down, pockmarked, vestiges, salt flats, brackish, and leaden. And now it's time to explain you. His headache cleared as they descended down the slope. It was 2 o'clock when they stopped for lunch at a long canvas tent beside the dry salt lake. They had hot noodles. The plateau was disfigured and the lake was filled with salty water and thatched roof covered with snow. It had traces of extinct Tethys Ocean, which used to border Tibet before the collision of the continent. Few men were working there with pickaxes and shovels. They were wearing sunglasses to minimize the glare coming from blue trucks loaded with pile of salt encrusted boots, and long sheep skin coats. By the late afternoon, they reached Ho town and back to the east-west highway, which was an old route from Lhasa to Kashmir. Daniel found a ride as he was on his way back to Lhasa. Both of them bid him farewell at tire repair shop. Their car suffered 2 punctures on the way from the salt lake, so Satan was eager to get them fixed. They had no spare tire left, and the second tire which he changed was replaced by a smooth tire, just like the head of the protagonist. The protagonist was bald, that's why. Next paragraph. Hard words are grim, accumulated, venerated, cosmology, flanks, forge. And now explanation. Hor was an ugly and miserable place which had no vegetation and just dust and rocks. It is scattered with gathered refuse, and it was luckless that it was on the shore of Lake Mansarovar, which is Tibet's most respected water. According to ancient Hindu and Buddhist cosmologists, it consists of four Indian rivers: the Indus, the Ganges, the Satluj, and the Brahmaputra. Satluj river flows from this lake, and other three rivers rise near the sides of Mount Kailas. They were in a remarkable distance, and he was eager to build ahead. He waited for Satan while having some tea at Horse Cafe, which was constructed badly from painted concrete and three broken windows, although it had a good view of the lake. Next paragraph. Hard words are filthy, rag, solitary, confinement, stark, sanctity. And now explanation. The protagonist was served by a Chinese boy who was wearing a military uniform. He spread the grease around his table with a dirty cloth and brought him a glass and a thermos of tea. Satan freed him from his private detention, and they started their journey ahead, passing more rocks and rubbish. The protagonist's experience was opposite from what he read on travelers' first encounters of the town. Eikai Kawaguchi was a Japanese monk who arrived in the town in 1900. He was so moved with the purity of the lake that he cried. After a few years, similar effect was on Sven Hedin, a Swedish who did not have such an emotional outburst. Next paragraph. Hard word is nocturnal. And our explanation. When they resumed their journey from Ho, it was dark at that time. After 10:30 p.m., they decided to stay in a guest house in Darshan, which turned out to be a difficult night for him. The rubbish dump in Horse made his cold worse, and herbal tea also did not help him. One of his nostrils was blocked as he lay on the bed. He was not getting sufficient oxygen, and he checked his watch. He was at 4,760 meters above sea level. The height was not more than Ravu, but he would be out of breath several times a night. He was so familiar to these nighttime disturbances, and he was scared this time. He started breathing from his mouth. He was tired and hungry. He switched back to breathing from single nostril, and as soon as He switched back to breathing from single nostril, and as soon as he was about to sleep, he would wake up shortly. He was not feeling well, as his chest felt heavy. He sat up, and it cleared his nasal passages. He was curious. Hard words. Next paragraph. Hard words are gasping and propping. And now explanation. He tried again by laying back on the bed. The same thing happened. He was in the land of signals where something told him not to do it. He was not able to go to sleep this time. When he was sitting up, it made him feel better, as he could breathe properly, and his chest felt light. The opposite happened as soon as he lay down. He held himself up against the wall, but he was not able to relax. He was afraid to sleep now. A voice inside him told him that he might die if he would try to sleep. So he stayed awake all night. Next paragraph. Hard word is paraphernalia. And now explanation. Satan took him to Darshan Medical College the next morning. It was new and looked like a monastery with a door which led to a large courtyard. They went to a dark and cold consulting room filled by a Tibetan doctor who wore nothing kind of random articles which he expected. He was wearing a thick pullover and a woolly hat. He asked him a few questions while feeling his veins. He told the driver that it is cold and he had an effect due to cold and altitude change. He gave him some medicine and reassured him that he will be able to do the Kora. So now it is time to say thank you. Thank you for watching Silk Road Part 3. We'll meet again in Part 4.